financial challenges. Yeah, talk about it. Yeah. Insecurity is at play. Because this person needs help. And in one way or the other, we find ourselves in that place. Let me throw some of these items here. One, it is likely that this person has even a poor health condition. Is struggling with some ailments. Could be pressure, could be diabetes, could be cancer, could be HIV, could be any terminal illness. Okay, could be stroke, whatever it is. Such a person can get to that place easily. Two, financial crisis. Debts. Are you aware every angry person is just because they are broke? When you are broke, you are always angry. We will get there, don't worry. Major life changes. Major life changes bring a lot of stress and bring a lot of issues to us. For instance, we have singles here. The day you get married, you will be stressed because of that life change. Some of us, we used to enjoy bathing once a day. Sometimes we do 3 times a week when we are single. Now, when you get married, you must bathe every day. Twice a day at least. That life change can be very hard for some of us to adapt to. Yeah? Equally, maybe you've been married, but then somehow some things happen and then you transition to singlehood. That also is a life-threatening thing there, right? Dealing with the divorce, dealing with the separation, those are issues. Life change. You were employed, then all of a sudden you are laid off. That's a life challenge. Transitioning from a place where you used to be driven to a place now you are walking. It's tough. Yes? Uh-huh. He is now very, you see, life changes. Someone who was employed used to have, everything was there, but now the man is lost, everything. Sweet. The man is becoming figure one. You know, life changes. Work overload at workplace. Somebody introduced them, their name and where they're working from. And one thing that came to my mind was the work overload there. Not the place of work where all you just know is the workload there is really heavy. Sometimes you don't even have breathing space. Yeah? Even if you want to have a breathing space because of the need on the ground, you cannot. The deadlines. So, before you know it, workload is here and things begin to break us apart. Self-imposed stress. I want to give it like this. Every 31st of every year, every 31st December of every year, we normally carry papers and pens and we write New Year resolutions. Not so? And many of us, we wrote, 2024 is my year. I must get married. Today is the 9th of October. Nobody has said hello. Nobody has proposed a cup of coffee. Nobody is talking about taking you out. Nobody is saying anything. And where you try to say anything, you are fired even before you say anything. But because you had put yourself that this year I must, you have imposed the stress on yourself and things don't work out. Maybe this year you said I must drive. Now, this year I must drive. Now the driving has never happened. Instead, the little savings that you had, maybe something came up and all is now being used up and you're still on foot. Now when you see your colleagues park a machine, you're like, God, why? SGBV, gender-based violence. Things can really be tough out there. Time management. You see, when we talk about time, somebody talked about the time here when we were dealing with the egg, right? You see, sometimes, have you ever sat with somebody and then they tell you that they are too busy, that they don't have time? They are right. Because they are overwhelmed and they are overloaded with a lot of responsibility, so they don't have time for themselves. They don't have time to balance anything. So, because they don't have time, indeed you can't blame them. They don't have the time. Marital challenges. I was somewhere and I was saying that nowadays we have so many married singles. Yeah. We have so many married singles. And as a matter of fact, many relationships are in the intensive care unit. Why? Because of challenges that are here. And once there is a marital challenge here, even at workplace, things don't work out. Relationship breakdowns. The one who promised you that until Lake Victoria dries, no longer picks the call. And even when you send a message, they just blue tick, saying nothing. It hurts. Many. And before you know it, things that don't add up. The expectations. And sometimes they are unrealistic expectations. Exams are coming. For the students who are here, I know you are. Exams are coming. So there is a pressure. Will I pass? Will I have a retake? Will I have this? So the pressure is a lot. Parenting stress. When we got married, I told myself I wanted a honeymoon baby, the baby delayed to come. But after 1 year, the baby came. What did you know that the baby had his own timetable? In the night, the baby decided to cry after every 2 hours. Baby will begin to cry at 10 p.m., cries at midnight, cries at 2 a.m., cries at 4 a.m. The level of stress was adding. I'm like, God, you promise that you don't give us the blessings that add no sorrow. But now this one is adding sorrow. Parenting can be tough. While you are here, they are doing this. While you are doing the other side, so things can go out of hand here. And it is worse when we are parenting a parent. I'm aware many of us are parenting parents. Do you know what I mean? You who has responsibilities for another thing, before you know it, your parents have their demands, and therefore you take their responsibility. Yeah? To begin to do what your parents are supposed to be doing. For example, it was supposed to be the role of your parents to pay fees for their children. Now, they want you to be the one to pay fees, which they were supposed to have paid for your siblings. Yeah? Because now they say, now you are working, so you should be able to take. It is actually supposed to be their responsibility. But now, you become the parenting parent. And all of these issues affect us and keeps adding stress. Environmental factors, that, as we rightly put. So all these answers are correct. And we struggle with all these issues, and these issues affect us. Now, the point I want to come up with here is this. A combination of physical, mental, and emotional reactions that you experience when the demands on you exceed your personal and social resources that you are able to mobilize to deal with these issues always affect us negatively, because this is now where stress comes. Stress only comes when the demands you have, you are unable to meet them. You're unable to meet the obligations. You're unable to meet the demands that are coming. The resources that you have personally or even with your social friends, you don't, then things begin to fall apart here. That's why we need to get to a place. But I want to say, number one, you are not alone. You could be here and you're going through a crisis moment. You are not alone. You're not alone. That's why me, I'm a Liverpool fan, so we normally say that you never walk alone. If you're a Man U fan, sorry for you, but for me, you will never walk alone. And that has kept us moving. Why? Because there's no way we can always be isolated. We need to be with other people. You need to be with others. Because when you stay in isolation, this is where things begin to fall apart. But here I want to say, please, you're not alone. Number two, help is available. Help is available. Always help is available. When you ask, you will always receive help. Our fear is we don't want to ask for help because of fear of judgment, because of stigma, because of things around here. Self-care matters. We need to get to a place where we can begin to take care of ourselves. We can begin to think, what can we do to be able to overcome some of these challenges here? Do I need to go out? Do I need to go for exercise? Do I need to eat well? You know, there are moments when tears can become your food, day and night. I've been there. But then, you don't let that to keep you down. You have the ability and potential to bounce back. Even after here, you could be going through a challenge, you could be going through a moment, but the good news is you are going to bounce back strong. You're going to bounce back because you have the ability. You have the capacity to withstand the challenges. This egg had the ability to withstand. That's why it never broke. While other eggs were breaking, this one didn't break. Why? It had the ability to withstand the pressures that were there. Yet they were given the same amount of pressure, same amount of challenges, same environment. You have the strength to persevere. All of us, we have the strength to persevere. Somebody will say, "Why you man don't know what you're talking? Do you see what I'm going through? Do you know what I'm going through?" Let me tell you, we can all move from left to right. We can all do that. We can all move from left to right. That's why we are here. That's why we're having this kind of engagement. That's why we're having this kind of discussions. Because we want to see how do we move from left to right. Because nobody wants to be with Mr. Left. Even those who are married now, everyone were praying, God, I want the right person, not the lefty person. The right person is there, and the left person is here. So nobody wants the lefty person. We always want the right person. And for us to get the right person, we also must be right. Because if we are on the left and we expect the right person, we are going to be messed up. And also we are going to mess them up. Why? Hurt people will hurt others. I love telling my stories. You could be here and you're going through financial crisis. Once upon a time, you know those stories of the Nile English course. For us, we studied in those years. Once upon a time, that was my bank statement. For 3.5 years, 100% of the salary is all chopped because of loans. So you're not alone. That's why I say here, you're not alone. This is my statement too. By that time, I'm not. By then, the salary is just even young. But even the young salary, all of it, for 3.5 years. I have the book Broke by Choice. The whole story is in that book of Broke by Choice. So that's why some of these things I'm sharing on this is from lived experiences. Because I can't tell you something that I didn't do. I can't tell you something that I've never done. I will always tell you something that I've done because I have been there. And the good news is sometimes you could be going through your crisis moment and then you think you are the only one. And maybe you are the worst. You're not the worst. Maybe for you, yours is just that you got a salary loan and then half of the salary is taken, you're remaining on the half. But mine, 100 of it was taken, 100%. But you must live and you must show up at work and you must keep working. Are we still together? Can we relate? You could be here and you are everywhere indebted. From the bank, you have a loan. On your phone, you have more cash loan. And where else? On Airtel, you have Wewole. Then with friends, you have debts from friends. And then with these money lenders, you have also borrowed. You are not alone. Because one thing I know is financial crisis is real. We can actually go through it. You could be here and you are struggling because of financial crisis. I want to say you're not alone. You can bounce back. That's why my point has been there. You can still bounce back strong. And once you bounce back, things are going to change. Life is going to be better. And you're going to enjoy yourself. I've told you the stories. After 8 heartbreaks, I'm now a married man, so I know the pain of going through heartbreaks. 8 only. And the 8, I did not include those who fired me before I proposed. And those who told me they will give me answer as they're praying about it. And they will never leave you. It is only God who will never leave and forsake. But somehow, some people have done that. You're not alone. Why I'm saying there is a hope in the age of depression? Because I'm aware. Stress is one of the contributing factors for mental illness. And where stress is, you cannot rule out depression. Where stress is, you can never rule out anxiety. Where stress is, you can never rule out mental breakdowns. That's why we want to discuss these issues. Now, stress management starts when you identify for you what is stressing you. This is a discussion that we will go to in our smaller groups. It is until you understand, for me, what is stressing me, you cannot handle stress. Because you only do what you know. You can't do what you don't know. Yeah? You only do what you know. You will never do what you don't know. Maybe you need to understand what is my stressor, what is stressing me really, so that you can be able to hold the bull by the horn and deal with it. Maybe yours is work pressure. Because the jobs are demanding, overwhelming, things are overwhelming. The deadlines. Some of us work with difficult workers, co-workers, difficult colleagues to work with, or bosses. Or simply maybe the workload is really too much. Maybe. But here, if this is yours, then we'll be able to see, how do we handle this? How can we help create a balance? How can we help create a balance so that we're able to see how do we work things out? If your stress is coming because of workload and work pressure, then we can be able to see how do we strike a balance. And also, I want to bring you good news. If you're in a place of work and you are stressed, it is likely because that is not where your calling is. Maybe you joined the profession because of the money. Because if you join the profession where it is what you love doing, you cannot be stressed because of the workload. You will actually do the work with joy and gladness. Yeah? But we can still discuss more. Number 2, financial concerns. If yours is about the money, so what about the money? Is it that the money is small? Is it that the money is much? Is it that the money is not coming timely? Is it that maybe because it is our spending style? Because some of us are big spenders. Yeah. As long as we have money, anything can happen. So, sometimes that could be the challenge. But then when we understand what the problem really is with the money, then we can be able to see how do we overcome it. Maybe it is just a habit that we have developed. Maybe it is, are you aware that when it comes to borrowing, we don't borrow money because of need? We borrow money because of pressure. Are you aware of that? Let me explain. Most of us, we don't borrow money because of a need. We borrow money because of pressure. I want to give you an example. Have you ever had friends whose wives give birth and then they begin to run around when the wife is giving birth? Man, my wife has given birth abruptly. But 9 months she was expecting and you were watching. But then, the time she's giving birth, that it becomes an emergency. Yeah? Then we run to, because that's what we normally buy because of pressure. 2, I must drive. So the only option is for me to get a huge loan to be able to buy a car so that I can be able to drive. Or I need a house. The only option is I must get this so that I get. But then it is on pressure, not planned. We didn't plan for it. We've not saved for it. But all we want is we want to have it. At the end of the day, we get under pressure because others have it. If others can have it, why not me? So, before we know it, things begin to fall apart. We need to get back to a place. Where is the problem with our financial concerns? Personally, me as an example, like I talked here, it is because of pressure. Others are doing this, so let me also do it. And by the way, when the banks know that you can actually have it, they will always smile and make life easy so that until you get a place. When you are borrowing money from the bank, they will bring nice people to smile for you. Sign here, sign here. But when it comes to collecting the money, that is when they will bring you men whose faces can really scare. Yeah? The smiling faces, you will never see them again. But the point here is, we need to get back to a place to understand what is the problem. A relationship. Maybe this could be with your partner, with your family members, maybe with your friends. These issues contribute a lot. Then you can still get to the root cause of finding out where did it go wrong. Why can't I see eye to eye with my brother and my sister? Why am I not seeing eye to eye with my parents? Why am I not seeing eye to eye with my siblings and my cousins? Why am I not seeing eye to eye with my spouse? Why am I not seeing eye to eye with my workmates? Where is the problem? Because these conflicts, they affect our relationships and things begin to put a lot of stuff. Before we know it, our mental health is affected. Things begin to fall apart. Health issues, maybe this will be the chronic illnesses, like I said. Maybe you are not even the one who is sick, but maybe a relative, maybe a parent, maybe your relatives, and you are the one taking their responsibility. So somehow this puts a lot of issues. It weighs us down. Time management, I talked about this, where we are overwhelmed because of the planning to see how do we balance work, family, social commitments, personal time, and all of this until we get to a balance. Because somebody also helped me to ask me a hard question and ask me to account for my 24 hours, and I didn't have the answer. You know, many times we don't want to account. In fact, in Africa, if you want any problem with anybody, you ask them for accountability. The day you ask for accountability from anybody, that's when you will begin to have problems. We think accountability is all about money, but we fail to account for even our time. Of the 24 hours, how do we spend the 24 hours? Once we are honest and we begin to see this, we can be able to see how do we divide our time. How many hours can we give for sleep? How many hours can we give for this activity? How many hours can we give for this? So that once you have that balance, you will begin to enjoy yourself. Uncertainty and change. Many times we don't want to change. That's why even very soon from now, some of us are going to begin to shout, no change, no change. We don't want to change. Not so? Yeah. We don't want to change. But when change is forced, whether we like it or yes, there must be change. And now when this change comes, it comes with unexpected twists and turns, and dealing with uncertainty can be a major stressor. Because now you're beginning to adjust to the new normal, and you're not used to. It becomes hard. Self-imposed pressure, I talked about this already. where we set ourselves targets. Some of them are unrealistic. You have never been going out for a date, but you say this year I must get married. So who will you marry? God will. There are things God cannot just provide. Because when it comes to dating and the courtship, it has to be a gradual process. You must be able to engage and see somebody. You must be able to understand how does somebody do their things. You should be able to see how, and it is until you also show up there, nobody will see you. And you can't come and then begin to speak to a stranger. You talk to somebody you know, not so? I'm like my president, I don't believe in this thing of love at the first sight. Though sometimes it works for some people, but for me, it will not work. Because that is a huge risk. Environmental factors, the environment plays a very big role here, as we had already seen there. Effects of stress. If we don't manage stress, we are likely having all these challenges here. There are so many others. I just picked these few. Hypertension, pressure, diabetes, stomach ulcers, obesity, and all of this is because of stress. Even a stroke is triggered from stress. Alcoholism. We have our colleagues who don't want this bottle that we are having. For them, they want the other bigger bottle. Because of stress, they have become alcoholics, deadly drinking officers. The marital discord, where each one for himself, God for us all, happening in families, infertility that comes through. We have doctors and nurses here, they can even tell you, as long as you have stress, forget about having children. You may pray and fast until you deal with that stress. Because from a man's perspective, as long as you are stressed, even Mr. Man will be very humble. Very, very humble that he cannot, no trouble. Very humble. As long as there's a stress, forget it. Will be very humble. Even when you try to use the scriptures, which says, is there anybody who is sick? Let the elders lay hands. Elders will lay hands on it with the hope that he may come back to life. Wapi. So this is where the issue is. Until we manage stress, of course, the mental disorders. I have bad news and good news. Where can I begin from? Bad news. Stress contributes to 90%, actually 98% of mental disorders. The good news, it can actually be avoided. It can be managed. Going to the mental health continuum, where stress is, mental health is not far. That's why we are saying when we are looking at the stress in this case here, there is where we just have these problems and it is just more mild and moderate. We have this distress which is just mild, moderate, and we are just there. And if we don't arrest it there and then, it can go into becoming an illness. It becomes an illness, things begin to fall apart. That's why we get impairments that begin to happen. And let's sit here further. This is where my assignment for us is. Where stress comes in, then mental health issues are at stake. Now, mental health is the mental well-being that enables me and you to work well, to learn well, to manage stress on a daily basis, to realize our potential and ability, and to contribute to the community. That is because of mental health. But now, where stress comes, mental health is impaired. Where instead of having a normal sleep, you will have trouble sleeping. Sometimes even you have nightmares. Sometimes you have disturbed sleep, where you wake up in the night and you can't sleep again till the morning. And it is even worse when it becomes so chronic and it is at the ill stage. Even falling asleep is a problem. You can't fall asleep. That's why Some of us could be here, and for us to sleep, we need something for us to be able to sleep, which is a challenge for many of us. Some people will tell you if they don't drink, for instance, they don't drink alcohol, they can't sleep. Others will tell you if they cannot take this, they can't sleep. Now, for us who are well educated, we go to the pharmacies and we get sleeping pills for us to be able to sleep. Please avoid it. Now, appetite. We're going to have food. We're going to have some snacks. We're going to have tea. But I can tell you, if you are okay, appetite is normal. You enjoy your food. But if you have concerns, food will taste like food will just be tasteless. You will eat, but food will be tasteless. If you are injured because of this stress, because of these issues, you will lose appetite. And where it becomes chronic, you get to a place where complete loss of appetite. Complete. They give you food, you can't eat. They give you this, you can't take. They bring you juice, you can't. Mood. When you're healthy, no stress, normal mood fluctuations. You're just normal. But if there are concerns, you will be sad. Like we saw the other sad person there. Something small irritates you. But when you're injured, you will always be angry. Angry always. Having anger problems, feeling hopeless, persistent sadness. You see my colleague here? Looking down very sad. And if the stress is not managed and things begin to go to the extreme, expect rage, not just anger. There's a difference between anger and rage. If you are angry, you can just be angry and then your mood is a bit ugly and then you just come around here, you look at things here and then you just walk away. But you're angry. When you're enraged, you get this table with all whatever is here, you throw it because of rage. Whatever you find, you just pick and break things or you kick things up and down because of rage. Now, if rage, you're in that place where you are enraged easily, there's a problem. Anxiety levels, work performance, here you perform well, here when you have concerns, I will work tomorrow. I will do tomorrow. You keep pushing it forward. Where's the report? How far with the report? Manager, give me 2 days. I will work it out. When I reach home, I'm going to work on it. You reach home, I will do it tomorrow. But here, when you're injured, you have decreased performance. You can be absent, you can be present, but when you're not doing anything, you can be a busybody. Available, but not productive. But the other side, you will never appear at work. You will never appear. That's when things are out of hand. You never appear. So this is where we need to be careful. When we begin to see some of these things, we need to engage early. Social activities, when everything is normal, we are socially active. When there are concerns, we have decreased participation. When we are injured, we are withdrawn. We don't want to participate. That is, you're not just tired, but you are exhausted, even though you have not done any serious work. Here, alcohol use. Here, you may not take alcohol at all, or if you take, limited. Here, where there's concern, regular. The other side, out of control. I'm sure we have colleagues who drink as if there's no tomorrow because of stress. And then the other side, it is not only out of control, but addiction. They can't do without it. If they don't take, their body will be shaking. When they take a small sip, they are strong again. And we have such people in our communities. Interventions, what do we do? If you were normal here, everything's still okay, please let's nurture support and lifestyle and we focus. That's why support is the thing. Let's work as a team. Seek for help. Let there be support. Build networks. Build support systems. If you have concerns, like I said, one side of the AD begins to ache you when one side is okay, all you need to do is rest. Take a rest. Exercise. Get good coping strategies and you'll be fine. If you're injured, please identify the risks. Identify the problems. What is the problem? And then seek for help. However, if we're in the red zone, all we need to do is we need to consult for psychiatric services. We need psychiatric services. If things are that bad, we need the psychiatric services. That's the only way we can intervene. Interventions here. If you're okay, please nurture support. Keep moving. If you have concerns, rest, exercise, eat healthy, do things right. If there is a challenge on the other side, please identify what is the trigger. What is making me behave this way? What is the problem? Once you understand your problem, you can be able to manage it. Lastly, if it is in the red zone, please, you don't need to wait, but rather help this friend or take this person, or if you're the one, go and consult a psychiatrist. I have these issues. I can't sleep. For the last 3 months, I can't sleep. Sleep has abandoned me. Even for the last 1 week, I've never slept. I don't eat. I'm easily enraged. I don't even go to work. I am here. I can't do without the big bottle. What can I do? What's the problem? So you will get help. We all have the battle of life. When your phone battery is low, what do? We charge. And you know that your battery is low when it is reading red. Equally, if our battery is reading red, we need to engage to seek for support. If our battery is 2% and we are just struggling, we're in those places. If we are surviving, where many of us will say, after all, I will survive. After all, I will survive. Please, today I want to announce to you, don't just survive. Thrive. And once you begin to thrive, you are going to excel. That's the best places to be in. That's why we need to be thriving and then excelling. From here, this is where we can be able to thrive. And I also have good news and bad news. Where can I begin from? Bad news. Bad news is that anytime you can be excelling, but all of a sudden you can be in a crisis, in the red.
How can you skip?
Let me explain. You can be excelling when everything is okay here. But then all of a sudden, a crisis moment hits. Maybe you are here, all of a sudden, you get a phone call that, where are you? The house on fire. You say, what? Oh, you are here. You say, by the way, the black man said, let's go and consult. Maybe I need to first go via the pharmacy, inquire for these issues, but I need to go to a clinic, maybe to first test. Then you go on the test, and then the man comes and says, my brother or my sister, take heart. It's not the end of the story. You know, they begin to prepare you from there. Then they come and tell you, but actually, from our findings here, it appears there is some HIV virus. However, the viral load is not heavy, but we think we need to do more. And please, in the meantime, let's be on positive living. My dear, living in that room, how you reach home, God knows. Or you can be here, Something, they just call and say, this business has collapsed. The vehicle was taking your goods, and the vehicle got accident, and everything has perished. Back to square one. You can easily sink into crisis. Good news is, even while you are in a crisis here, if you are supported and helped, you can move to a place where you can excel. We can build resilience, even in the midst of the crisis. So that's where I am very excited. Why? Because anytime you can be in a crisis moment, but that's not the end of the story. Honestly, I've just shared. Do you know how it means to be 3.5 years without salary? And you're working. Everybody knows that you're working. And you must be smart. You must come home. And then you're coming home. And let me tell you, even when you're coming home, when you come home with a kavera, the way children can receive you, daddy, daddy, they come dancing. But you come swinging your hands, they look away. Now, how about madam? When there's nothing in your hands. Yeah, she knows, but when you're arriving, she keeps busy, as if she has nothing to not steal. But the moment you carry something, she will even see from afar. She will wait. Children, come and receive daddy. But the moment you just swing in your hands, trouble. I know, I've been there. Things can be tough, but help is available. That's my point. Help is available. The drivers of stress and mental illness in Uganda, all these issues affect all of us. Anytime, like I said, poverty, unemployment, low standard of living, alcohol and substance use, conflicts and wars, pandemics, HIV, infections and other infections, disasters, family separation and divorce, marital discord, physical and sexual violence, academic demands, parenting issues, bullying, relationship, and many others. These issues can affect us at any time. You can be here when everything is normal, everything is fine. All of a sudden, you get another shocking news. That's why we need to always be together. We need to always keep engaging. Always, let's be together. Where do we get stress? Stress is only found in two places. One is at home, another one at the workplace. Only the two areas. That's why I normally don't tell people that no, when you are stressed, you go for comedy. Okay, after comedy, where do you go? And then from home, where do you go next? Have you addressed the problem? We must be able to hold the bull by the horn, because there are only two areas where stress is resident: in our homes and at the workplace. Now, in the home, two areas. If you are single, the person can be around parenting challenges, issues with your parents, issues around your community, issues within your peers in the family. But if you are married, then your spouse becomes your number one source of stress. Let me explain. Yes, I'm going to explain why. From my book, The Art of Dating and Courtship, why we have those problems is, when God said it's not good for man to be alone, he will make for him a suitable helper. Yeah? And the suitable helper you have is the direct opposite of who you are. Now, this is where stress comes. We want our spouses to be in our own image and in our own likeness. Let me explain again. Now, this is what happens. How your spouse can be your number one source of stress. If you are very neat, very organized, very smart, very neat, excessively neat, God gives you a spouse. Oh, God have mercy. You organize the house, arrange everywhere, you come back when the house is upside down. You will find the socks on the tables. You will find the socks everywhere, scattered everywhere. You are married to somebody, you organize, you arrange your things, but your spouse is somebody who puts their things where they can easily find them. So for you who is very organized, you said they are disorganized. If you are somebody who loves spending money, God gives you a spouse who loves saving. And it frustrates. The small money you need to go and eat some chicken will tell you, this money, I think it is for this one. And God gives you somebody who is very organized and a money manager, having so many envelopes. This envelope is money for food is in this envelope. Money for airtime is in this envelope. So if now for the other person, this is stressing. If you are very reserved and quiet person, God gives you a talking machine. Then the other side will say, but why don't you talk? Why can't you also talk like other people? That's why you find people who say, why can't you be like other men? Why can't you be like other women? Why? Because in their mind, you're not what they expect. But when we're getting married, we look at so many factors. Prayerful, soft voice, good looking. You know some of those things that we normally write. Unfortunately, we don't normally consider these other ones. But God actually said, I will give him a suitable helper. And God will give you help in your area of weakness. Yeah? God cannot give you a helper in your area of strength. No way. That's why God knows that you are a talking machine, you talk a lot. God will give you somebody who doesn't talk a lot so that they help you to reduce on your speed a bit. If you love spending, God will give you somebody who will actually help you to manage your resources well. So until you appreciate them, there will always be a thorn in your flesh. That is how. Now, resolve not to say anything in anger, especially in response to your spouse, because it will give you sleepless nights if you are married. 2, even if you're not married, responding to your family members and friends when you are angry will always bring challenges. So, please, at office, at workplace, your boss is your number one source of stress. If you came here with your boss, I'm sorry, I will say it. That boss of yours is your problem. Setting unrealistic expectations and the demands, and the way they ask for the results is very rude. And actually, that's why they are managers. They must be answering. I've been to places, and I will always say, if you are not a choleric, don't be a manager. Managers are cholerics who need the results, and they can even abuse you as they get the results, even if they're born again. Because they want results. That's how they're wired. Okay? But then we have people who are quiet and reserved. Those ones don't make them managers. They will not move anywhere. You need a choleric who can move things. At the same time, so when you understand the personality of your spouse, when you understand the personality of your siblings, and you understand the personality of your bosses at workplace and your colleagues, it solves so many issues. So it begins by understanding yourself and understanding your colleagues. Avoid the gossip at workplace, because gossip will break everything around. Leave issues of work at work, leave them at office, leave them there. Don't take them home. Because the moment you go and begin to discuss your boss or workmates with your spouse and children or friends, they might come and fight on your behalf. And even they will add more challenges, more problems. How do we handle these issues? 1, please. Number 1 is psychological therapy. That's why I said 98% of the conditions are triggered by stress. And the stress comes because the demands overwhelm you. Therefore, you need a psychological level of treatment where psychotherapy will be able to work. And this psychotherapy includes the CBT, which is the cognitive behavior therapy, the way you think, the way you behave. You need help there. Psychodynamic therapy, where issues with the unresolved conflicts in your life, unresolved problems that you have, because hurt will hurt other people. And these are issues that we need to deal with. And this can only be through psychological treatment. Talking to a counselor, talking to a psychologist, talking to somebody helps. Number two, if it has become severe and has now added into these other conditions, please, you need medications. For instance, if you are struggling with now depression here, where you are very sad and this sadness has made you to lose interest in everything, then you might need to be put on antidepressants and other medications. If you have bipolar, where one day you are happy, another day you are very sad, you keep oscillating between the two, as if you are dancing in the choir. Because the choir, we only have two styles. We have this one. You can take 2 steps, but still you bring it back here. Okay? So you can be happy and sad at the same time. You need a mood stabilizer to keep you in a check. That's if you have bipolar. Now, if it has now gone to psychosis, then you might need antipsychotic drugs. Friends, mental illness affects anybody, irrespective of class, status, position, and anything around. That's why us who are here, if you can just have a round check here. Some of us, we are struggling. Some of us are in a crisis. Some of us are thriving, while others, all kinds of people are here. Right now, if you are struggling with sleep, let me just throw it back here a bit. Because the stress throws everything here. If right now we are struggling with the sleep, we can't sleep. Appetite is lost. We are easily enraged. We are always having those panic attacks. Our productivity is now affected. We can't even go to work. We can't go to class. We are always absent. Alcohol use has become so heavy. And we are withdrawn. We are isolated. We will stay alone. And we even sometimes become suicidal. It is because now here, it is now to do with mental illness. And then when this mental illness is checked through, this is how maybe we get, maybe it is anxiety disorder, maybe it is because of depression, maybe it is because of this and that. So there are so many other mental illnesses. But all of us can be a candidate. You could be here and you've taken many days without sleep. You could be here and you are singing a song because of the wounds. You know, sometimes we sing wrong songs. Born to suffer because of problems here. Because anytime we can go through these issues here, all these issues affect us at any time. 1 or 2, even right now as I speak, maybe 1 or 2 issues are eating us up here. But when we engage, when we seek for help early, when we engage early, let me tell you, things will be okay. But when we take long to open up, when we take too long to speak up, when we take too long to seek for help, things fall apart here. The third way of treatment is this, the spiritual. That's why I normally like singing this song. Let the living waters flow over my soul. Let your Holy Spirit come and take control. In every situation that has troubled my mind. All my cares and burdens unto you. Have you ever gone to church and then the preacher finishes preaching, then you're like, that was my word. I'm encouraged. It happens. So, we are who we are because of the body, the soul, and the spirit. So all these three need to be in check. This is how we get help for each of these. So I want to encourage, please, as we did our work in the groups. Number one, don't be in isolation. Don't stay alone. Don't live lonely lives. I know some of us, we love this song. Lonely. I am so lonely. I have nobody. I'm on my own. Woo! It's not nice. Please don't be lonely. Engage. Be in fellowship. Be with your colleagues. Be with the people. Be in fellowship. Because the more you engage with others, you are helped. Don't live in isolation. You see, one of the things that happens is, one of the things that, for me, in my research on mental health and mental illness, I've been reading more of the Bible to understand why certain things happen that way. And also in the days of the Bible, how were things happening? Now, I discovered, one, why the early church never had many cases of mental breakdown was because of Acts chapter 2, verse 42. What happened then? Bible says the believers, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. They will always come together in fellowship. They will always pray together. And whenever they come for fellowship, everybody will bring their prayer requests. Everybody will share their needs. Where is my need? What do I need? And then members will share their possessions to meet the need of everyone in the fellowship. Because as long as there is lack of basic needs, expect that person there. So if the early church was always together in the fellowship, why don't we need fellowship? We want to stay alone. That, I will fellowship online. My dear, go to have face-called fellowships. This thing of, I will watch on TV. Go and meet with the people. In one place, I was telling them that why fellowship is dying in the church is because now, when it comes to fellowships, what we normally have now is we have a guest preacher who comes to talk to us, and then we call it fellowship. It's never fellowship. Fellowship is when we share, we talk, give our prayer requests. That's why Paul says, don't be anxious for anything, but through prayer, something on thanksgiving, make your request known to God. What happens here? Why did Paul say don't be anxious? Because anxiety, stress, and depression are cousins. They always move together. It begins from Proverbs 13:12. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. Yeah? Go to Proverbs 12:25, New King James. Anxiety in the heart of man causes depression, but a good word makes it glad. It is progressive. From stress will lead you into anxiety. Anxiety will lead you into depression. That's why many people end up with the suicidal ideas, even in church, even out of church. Why? Because of a level of hopelessness. Where that guy sees no hope, then the only thing is begin to look for, how do I die? Those who are very spiritual will tell God, kill me. Like Elijah told God, kill me. Moses told God, kill me. Jeremiah told God, kill me. Prophet Jonah told God, kill me. They were suicidal. Why? The issue is here. These are men of God. In fact, Elijah called the fire from heaven. But in the next chapter, he took off. Said, God, kill me. I am not better than my forefathers. Now, when you begin to say, I am not better, that means your self-esteem is gone. I believe even us who are here, even us who are here, There is a place we reach where our self-esteem is gone. That's where we reach to this level of saying the following things. Come on, read for us. You are a very good reader. Come. What happens? Begin here. You believe what?
You believe that others are better than you.
You believe others are better than you. That's why Elijah said, I am not better than my forefathers. I'm not good enough. Next.
You find it difficult expressing your needs.
All of us, we have needs, but sometimes we don't want to express it. Yet we have the needs. We can't even talk about them. Next.
You focus on your weakness.
We focus on our weaknesses. Yet we have strengths as well. Next.
You frequently experience feelings such as shame, depression, and anxiety.
Otio. Next.
You have negative outlook on life.
Next.
You have an intense fear of failure.
Next.
You have trouble accepting positive feedback.
Many times, even now, when people give you feedback, you don't want it. For example, someone says, hey, you look good. Olimba nawe. But somebody is giving you feedback that you look good, you are smart. Say, you are just flattering. This is a lie. Why? You don't believe it. Instead of saying, thanks for appreciating. You're like, you know. Next.
You have trouble saying no.
Next.
You put other people's needs before your own.
Next.
You struggle with confidence.
Many times we struggle with the confidence. Many times we struggle. Why? Because things fall apart on our lives. Now this is for you. Since you read for us very well. Clap for him. Now, all of us will go through challenges. But before we know it, if we don't seek for help, mental illness is not very far from this. That's why we must do whatever it takes to manage stress at all times. And the best way to manage stress is understanding where is this stress coming from. Because you can't do what you don't know. You can only do what you know. If you know that your stress is maybe from finance, then you'll be able to see how do I overcome this financial challenge. You seek for help in financial literacy programs. If your problem is health, you seek for treatment. If your problem is maybe with the life changes, you seek for help. You know, one day I was somewhere and I was challenging the leadership of that church. They told me, oh, we have fellowship. I said, no, you don't have fellowship here. There are some important fellowships that you don't have. I said, we have all fellowships here. We have the marriage fellowship, we have the youth fellowship, we have the children's fellowship, we have the men's fellowship, we have the women's fellowship. Then I asked, do you have fellowship for single parents? There was none. You know, because being a single parent is a major life change. When you call marriage, single parents don't come. When you call the youth, single parents don't come because they have children, so they don't fit as youth, and they accepted they don't fit as marriage. How do we cater for them? We must be able to be deliberate. How do we support everyone? Because anytime we go through different challenges. So the point here is, understand where is the problem. Because once you understand where the problem is, then things begin to work in. We begin to be very productive citizens. We do things better, and we overcome things easily, and life moves better. Finally, I have that hand that I normally use for illustration how we can manage mental disorders. Number one, psychoeducation. Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. It is until you know. The truth you know is what will set you free. So we need psychoeducation. We need to know. We need to manage stress and strengthen social support. Please, I want to challenge all of us here. Don't be in that place of loneliness. Yeah? Don't be in a place where you're in isolation. No. Strengthen social support. I just told you, I'm a Liverpool fan, a proud one. And we have groups of Liverpool supporters, both online and physical, where we meet. Even though Liverpool is beaten, still we are there. You never walk alone. We keep our banners up. But then we keep encouraging ourselves. Whatever challenges that you have, please don't stay in isolation. Engage with the people. Build social support. Let me tell you something here. This table is standing here because of these support systems. Without this support, this table will just collapse. Narrative therapy, talk to somebody. Anybody has ever had a boil under the armpit or in those soft spots? You know boils? Anybody has ever had a boil? Now, when the boil is paining,